Something just happened behind the scenes in Washington that most Americans haven't fully processed yet, and if you depend on Social Security or SSDI, this is not something you can afford to ignore. A decision was officially signed off that quietly changes the direction of these programs going forward. Not next decade, not someday in the future, but starting now and unfolding over the next few months. And the reason so many people are confused is because this wasn't announced with flashing headlines or a big press conference. Before we go any further, I want you to pause for a second and tell me this in the comments. Do you rely on Social Security or SSDI as your main source of income, or is it something you expect to depend on soon? Just type yes or soon below. I want to see how many people watching this are directly affected, because this update hits very close to home. What makes this situation different from most government announcements is the timing and the intent behind it. Former President Donald Trump has officially signed off on a new direction for Social Security and SSDI payments. And whether you agree with him politically or not, what matters here is how this decision could impact real people. Seniors, retirees, disabled Americans, veterans, families who are already stretched thin by inflation. This is not just policy talk. This is about monthly checks, payment timing, and long-term stability. Now here's where things start to get interesting, and this is why you don't want to click away. Over the past year, there's been growing concern inside government agencies about the future of Social Security. You've probably heard the headlines about the trust fund, about funding running out, about cuts that could happen in the 2030s. That fear has been sitting in the background for millions of Americans. What this sign-off signals is a shift away from delay and debate, and toward action. But action doesn't always mean what people assume. A lot of viewers hear the word reform, and immediately worry about benefit cuts. Others hear it and hope for big stimulus-style checks. The truth is more complicated, and that's exactly why so many people are misunderstanding what this move actually does. What was approved is not a single payment increase or a one-time bonus. It's a framework, a new strategy that focuses on two things at the same time: protecting the long-term future of Social Security and fixing some of the biggest pain points in the system right now, especially for SSDI recipients. And those two goals don't always move together, which is why this matters so much. Let's talk about what this really means in plain English. For years, Social Security adjustments have followed a very rigid structure. Payments go out on fixed dates. Cost of living increases are calculated using an index that many experts admit doesn't reflect what seniors actually spend money on. Healthcare, housing, prescription drugs. Those costs rise faster than average inflation, yet the system hasn't fully accounted for that reality. This new direction opens the door to changing that conversation. It doesn't flip a switch overnight, but it allows agencies and policy teams to start testing and implementing changes that were previously stalled. And that alone is a big deal. One of the biggest areas of focus right now is the cost of living adjustment, the COLA. You've probably noticed that even when benefits go up, it doesn't feel like your buying power improves. In many cases, it feels like you're falling behind anyway. That's because the current formula is based on inflation data that reflects working households, not retirees. Under this new approach, there is serious momentum building around using an elderly-focused inflation index. That would track costs that matter most to older Americans: medical care, rent, utilities, insurance. If this shift happens, even partially, it could change how future increases are calculated. Not just once, but year after year. And here's the key point most people are missing. This isn't about a massive raise all at once. It's about stopping benefits from quietly losing value over time. That's why this matters more than a headline number. Now let's bring SSDI into this, because this is where urgency really kicks in. If you or someone you know has ever applied for disability benefits, you already know how broken the system can feel. Long wait times, endless paperwork, hearings that take months or even years. People approved on paper but still waiting for payments while bills pile up. One of the clearest directives in this new plan is to modernize how SSDI claims are processed. Faster reviews, better coordination between agencies, more digital access, less duplication. These sound like technical details, but for someone waiting on a disability check, this can be the difference between stability and crisis. If you're watching this and you're on SSDI, or you've gone through the application process, tell me in the comments how long it took you to get approved. Weeks? Months? Over a year? Your experience matters, and it helps others understand how real this issue is. There's also a bigger message behind all of this. This sign-off reframes Social Security as more than just a monthly deposit. It reinforces the idea that these benefits are earned. They represent decades of work, contribution, and sacrifice. And that framing matters, because it influences how future decisions are made. At the same time, officials are being very careful with their language. They've made it clear that this is not about cutting benefits. It's about sustainability. making sure the system can pay what it promises, without sudden shocks, without panic, without last-minute fixes that hurt the people who rely on it most. Another aspect that's getting attention, and this is something many people overlook, is payment timing. Traditionally, Social Security runs on a fixed schedule tied to birth dates. That system doesn't adapt well to emergencies. Under the new framework, there's discussion about creating more flexibility for certain groups, especially SSDI recipients and low-income seniors facing urgent situations. Think about that for a moment. A system that can respond when costs spike, when disasters hit, when people need help now, not weeks later. That would be a fundamental change in how federal benefits operate. Now, none of this happens overnight. And that's important to understand. What's happening right now is the groundwork, the testing phase, the alignment between agencies, the planning that leads to visible changes starting in 2026 and beyond. That's why so many people are confused. They're looking for an immediate number, an immediate payment, and missing the bigger shift. But make no mistake, this is one of those moments that shapes what comes next. And if you're depending on these benefits, or you expect to in the future, this is the time to pay attention, not later when changes are already locked in. In the next part, we're going to talk about how this new direction could affect actual payments, taxes, eligibility rules, and what you should be watching for in the coming months. Some of these details could quietly increase what you keep each month, without changing your official benefit amount at all. So before you move on, make sure you're still with me. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment and let me know what worries you most right now when it comes to Social Security or SSDI. That concern is exactly what we're going to address next. If you made it to this part, it's because you already understand something important is changing, but now we need to talk about what actually hits your wallet. Because when it comes to Social Security and SSDI, small adjustments on paper can turn into big differences in real life. And most people don't realize what's happening until the deposit hits their account and something feels off. Before we dive in, take 2 seconds and do this for me. Hit the like button if you want clear updates like this without the confusion and noise, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what comes next. These changes don't happen all at once, and staying informed early can save you a lot of stress later. Now let's talk about payments, because this is where attention really matters. One of the biggest questions people are asking right now is whether this new direction means more money each month. The honest answer is that it depends, and that's not a dodge. It depends on how these adjustments are implemented and how your personal situation fits into them. One area quietly under review is how inflation adjustments are applied throughout the year. Right now, Social Security updates benefits once annually. That works fine in stable times. But when prices jump quickly, seniors feel the pain long before the adjustment arrives. Under the new framework, policymakers are exploring ways to make the system more responsive, especially during periods of economic stress. This doesn't mean checks suddenly change every month, but it opens the door to targeted relief when costs surge. That could come in the form of supplemental adjustments, timing flexibility, or other mechanisms designed to prevent benefits from falling behind reality. Another major issue is taxes, and this is something almost no one talks about clearly. Many retirees are surprised to learn that their Social Security benefits can be taxed. The income thresholds that determine this were set decades ago and were never adjusted for inflation. As a result, more seniors are paying taxes on benefits they assumed were tax-free. Under the new direction, there is renewed discussion about raising those thresholds. If that happens, millions of retirees could keep more of their money each month without any change to their official benefit amount. That's one of those quiet changes that doesn't make headlines but has a real impact on daily life. If you're watching this and you've ever been surprised by a tax bill tied to your Social Security income, let me know in the comments. A lot of people think they're alone in that situation, and they're not. For SSDI recipients, the changes could be even more noticeable. The biggest frustration has always been delays. Not just getting approved, but getting paid after approval. The updated approach focuses heavily on fixing that gap. Faster processing, better coordination, and fewer cases stuck in limbo. What this means in practice is fewer months waiting without income, fewer emergency situations, and more predictability. That matters because SSDI recipients are often dealing with medical expenses at the same time. Delays don't just cause inconvenience, they create real hardship. Another issue finally being addressed is overpayments. For years, the Social Security Administration has mistakenly overpaid some beneficiaries, then demanded large repayments later. These letters have caused panic, especially for seniors living on fixed incomes. Under the new plan, there is a push toward a more humane approach. Instead of immediate clawbacks, the system would assess hardship, offer reasonable repayment options, or even forgive certain overpayments entirely. This is a major shift in tone, from punishment to problem solving. Now let's zoom out for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. One of the biggest fears surrounding Social Security is whether it will still exist for future generations. Younger workers worry they're paying into a system they'll never benefit from. At the same time, current retirees worry about cuts. The funding adjustments being discussed aim to address both concerns. Higher earners may contribute more, while benefits for middle and lower-income Americans are protected. The idea is to strengthen the system without placing new burdens on working families or reducing earned benefits. This balance is politically difficult, which is why action has been delayed for so long. What makes this moment different is the recognition that waiting longer only makes the problem harder to solve. There's also growing attention on targeted relief for the most vulnerable seniors. This includes discussions around occasional inflation relief payments during periods of extreme cost increases. These would not be permanent raises, but temporary support designed to prevent hardship during economic spikes. Think of it as a safety valve. Not something used all the time, but something available when it's truly needed. For seniors choosing between medication and groceries, even a small temporary boost can make a meaningful difference. Communication is another area undergoing change. Many seniors struggle to understand official letters filled with technical language. The new approach emphasizes clearer notices, plain explanations, and better access to assistance. This may sound minor, but it reduces mistakes, confusion, and unnecessary stress. As these updates move closer to implementation, there are a few things every beneficiary should be watching. Pay attention to official mail from the Social Security Administration. Monitor announcements related to cost of living adjustments. And keep an eye on any changes to tax rules that could affect your take-home amount. It's also important to make sure your contact information is up to date with the SSA. Missed notices can mean missed opportunities or delayed payments. What we're seeing here is not a sudden transformation, but a shift in direction. A move toward a system that responds faster, communicates better, and reflects the real costs seniors face. Change can be uncomfortable, especially when your income is on the line, but ignoring these developments is riskier. Social Security and SSDI are not handouts. They are earned benefits. They represent years of work, contribution, and sacrifice. Every update, every adjustment, every reform should be judged by one standard. Does it protect the people who depend on it? As this new phase unfolds, clarity will improve. Timelines will become more specific, and the real-world impact will become easier to measure. Until then, staying informed is your best protection. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really going on, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. And before you go, tell me in the comments what concerns you most right now about your benefits. That's how we decide what to cover next. Because when it comes to Social Security and SSDI, knowledge isn't optional. It's essential.